My aunt stole my fiancé for her daughter, but now everyone is crying because I took the trust fund and they realized my ex was a bum. I'm 28 years old and was engaged to Ron, who was 27 for a year. We met in college, we were friends, though not very close. We started dating after graduation, and we were together for 4 years. Last year, we got engaged and celebrated a small ceremony with close family and friends. My aunt also attended, and ever since she saw my engagement, she had been raving about how charming my ex was. She wouldn't stop complimenting how handsome and wealthy he was, which was unusual because she had never been so affectionate towards me. Her daughter Lucia, who is 24, is extremely beautiful but as dumb as a rock. My aunt always compared us in every aspect. I was good at my studies, even though she was 4 years younger than me. In school, my aunt compared our grades and talked about how her daughter was better. The funny part was when she compared Lucia's 8th grade report card to my 12th grade one and claimed that she was better than me. The joke is that Lucia couldn't even pass high school. Ron and I had been planning our wedding for October because I was supposed to visit the UK for a summer program. Everything was going well between us when I left in June. We talked once a day due to the time difference. 2 weeks later, we started to drift apart. I asked him what was wrong, but he said nothing, just that he was stressed about work. I thought the distance was affecting our feelings. I didn't take it seriously because it wasn't a new relationship. I planned to resolve things when I got back. A week before my program ended, he stopped talking to me. I felt very childish because I wanted to fix it, but he chose the easiest way out and disappeared. I've always had a lot of pride, and even though it hurt, I wouldn't chase after anyone. I continued in my delusional world thinking he would come looking for me, but he didn't. Instead, after a while, my aunt showed up at my house with a wedding invitation. I found out she was going to marry my cousin Lucia. What the hell? In this age of emails, she shows up with a printed invitation to see my disappointment in person. It was one of the few times I felt completely dumbfounded. I was in shock wondering how he could fall for my cousin, who could barely pay for her meals. My aunt soon gave me the answer. "I'm so sorry, dear. I understand your pain, but what can we do when people fall out of love? Maybe he couldn't handle the distance. Don't be mad at your cousin. Ron was the one who sought Lucia out for coffee because he had nothing else to do after work. You know how beautiful my princess is. You can't blame Ron for falling for her." I looked at her with red eyes filled with tears. Normally, I don't tolerate my aunt and interrupt her, but this time I was so shocked that I couldn't say a word. I just stared at her and accepted her cruel, sweet insults. She said, "Believe me, dear, I love you just as much as I love Lucia." I shouted when she told me about Ron, but he went down to my house and politely confessed his deep love for Lucia. You know how humble and sweet he is. My heart melted instantly when he knelt down and asked for Lucia's hand like a true gentleman. Tears rolled down my cheeks as I imagined Ron doing all the things she described. He tried to hug me, but I blocked him. I wiped my tears and composed myself, saying I had something to handle and asked him to leave. She told me, "If you're thinking about contacting Ron, don't do it. I'll block you. It's not right for my son-in-law to be in contact with his ex." I told her to screw both her and her son-in-law. I have much to do in life than chase after other people's men. She stood up and said, "Don't be discouraged, my love. I understand it will be hard for you to find another man at your age and with your looks, but don't worry. There are many divorced men looking for a second love in life. I'm sure you'll find a good man." I yelled, "Get out!" I deeply regretted losing my composure and giving her the satisfaction of seeing my vulnerability, but it's okay. We all have weak moments in life when we just can't hold it together. This news was much more painful than the breakup. I'm not saying it would have been easy if he cheated with any other woman, but it would have been much better than this. I would have cut ties and made sure not to see him again, but now who knows? My aunt could appear at any moment to rub her daughter's prize in my face. Everyone, including friends and family, knew about Ron and me. Now I felt stupid for having such a pompous engagement, especially since he was now marrying Lucia. The story was clear to everyone about what had happened behind the scenes. My aunt had been weaving a different story that Ron found comfort in Lucia because I was too stubborn and self-centered and prioritized that Ron didn't want me to go to the summer program in the UK. Yet, I went and stopped talking to him. She even went so far as to say that Ron suspected I was involved with someone in the UK because he heard a guy's voice in the background each time he called me and things like that. I hadn't been in touch with most of my relatives since I moved out. Even as a teenager, I had been distant from them because I didn't like their trivial conversations. That made it easier for my aunt to sell her lies. It feels terrible. I know all of this is for the best. I got rid of the cheater. There's light at the end of the tunnel. But you know what? When you're in the middle of that dark phase, it's just impossible to navigate through it, even if you know everything will be all right eventually. Update 1. Hello, and thank you for encouraging me in my original post. I've been thinking of updating this for a long time. I thought the day I no longer felt anything for my ex, I would make an update, and here we are today. In fact, things improved, and there's a cherry on top of the cake. Wait for it. That phase was really dark and long. It's not that I hadn't gone through a breakup before, but this one was horrible because he was my fiancé. My mom came by a week ago, and it helped to have her by my side. However, I felt sick the moment she left. I had been with Ron for so many years that every place brought back memories of him. It was reason enough for me to leave the city. I applied for jobs in the UK and got a promising one in Leeds. I packed up and left. My advice to anyone struggling to move on after a difficult past: nothing heals better and faster than a change of scenery. Yes, only if your situation allows it. I understand not everyone has that opportunity to move so easily. Anyway, moving to the UK made me feel like I was reborn. I was surprised at how quickly I managed to get over him. It took a better turn a few days ago when my mom called to ask if Ron was unemployed. I said yes, he was. I mean, not unemployed, but he left his job a year ago to pursue his passion for writing. Oh, something interesting? Ron wanted to be a writer and was writing here and there, but he wasn't making much progress with his full-time job. So I decided to help him build a career around writing. We had an agreement where I would work full-time while he laid the groundwork to start a business, and eventually I would quit my job so we could work on our own business together. Yes, but he messed it up. My mom laughed a lot when I told her these details. She said my aunt went to see her the other day and yelled, "Why didn't you tell me Ron was a bum?" My mom was confused because, as far as she knew, he was working and doing quite well financially. My mom said she had no idea about this. My aunt told her that Ron insisted Lucia take an accelerated course that would get her a better paying job so she could help cover their living expenses. He wanted to run that plan with Lucia, and what he didn't know was that my aunt got him married to Lucia so both of them could live off his income. Well, the jokes are on them. The last I heard, Lucia was working part-time as a receptionist at a restaurant, making table reservations. I'm not sure they can both live off the income of a receptionist. It may sound derogatory to look down on Lucia's profession, but well, maybe yes, maybe no. I wouldn't care. I would love to see the disappointment and anguish on my aunt's face when the truth about Ron comes to light. There's another layer to this. My aunt was an affair partner for Lucia's dad, and when he died, his legal wife kicked them out of the house. That's why my aunt lived with my grandparents. They were living off my grandparents' pension, and sometimes my dad and uncle would help them financially. Lucia has always been a foolish girl. She doesn't like to work and isn't capable of it. She failed twice in high school and finally dropped out. That receptionist job she got was also thanks to my uncle. He recommended her at a friend's restaurant. Nowadays, even a receptionist job requires a high school diploma. If you think poetic justice has been served, not yet. After I finished grieving, it was time to act. He still was in his job. Together, we bought a trust fund that we were going to use later for our business. He had all access to that trust fund because he managed our finances, putting money in there each month. I'd say that 20% of the money in that trust fund was his. I liquidated that entire fund when I found out about his infidelity. He has no idea that the fund no longer exists. He's still deluding himself, thinking he will get the money from there because he told Lucia that once my anger calmed down, he would contact me and get his 50% of the trust fund. Delusional. If you think I'm a scammer, I'm not, because I spent an equivalent amount of money on Ron during his bad days. After Ron left his full-time job, it was tough for him to find writing jobs. It was hard for him to make ends meet, so I gave him access to one of my spare accounts, where I kept some money for his monthly expenses. I supported him with all my means. I think what I did was fair. If we had been married, he would have received alimony. This trust fund was the closest thing to that because we were almost married. Now I wonder about his future plans for entrepreneurship. He has no savings and no job. That's no longer my problem. Update 2. Here's the next update. This Christmas has been lovely. I had the satisfaction of seeing the disappointment on my ex's face. I went back to my mom's house, and he came knocking on my door. He was here asking for the money from his trust fund and also demanding his 50% from it. I asked, "What money?" He said he had saved money in the trust fund that we were going to use for our business. I said, "Oh, that trust fund?" I liquidated it. He went crazy. "How could you do that?" We had saved that money for our business. Now what are we going to do? I said, "Let me clarify. There's no we here. You are my cousin's husband, and the person you should call is across the street." He took a deep breath and said, "Look, I know I hurt you, and you have every right to be angry with me, but I need that money from the trust fund. I don't have a job. The client I was writing for left me. I'm looking for another client." Lucia doesn't earn enough for both of us. I haven't paid rent for the last 2 months, and if I miss another month, the landlord threatened to kick me out. Please understand my situation. Why on earth should I understand your cheating ass? Remember what you did to me? I yelled. Cheating doesn't give you the right to take my money. He said, you only own 20% of that fund. I told him, whatever, I want it back. He said, remember the money I gave you for your monthly expenses? What about that? I told him, I took your 20% from the trust fund to recover something. Now he was calm and said, I had spent that money as your boyfriend, so you shouldn't claim it. With that logic, you gave me the money from the trust fund when you were my boyfriend, so you shouldn't ask for it back either. He threatened to sue me for taking his part. I told him that if he did that, I would press charges for card theft because he used my debit card to withdraw money for his monthly expenses. I reminded him that if we calculate who owes how much, he could end up in debt, so he better watch his and accept the truth. He left angrily with a bitter face. If that encounter wasn't enough, my aunt and Lucia showed up at my parents' house looking for me. They were here to ask about the money from the trust fund. Ron had told them that I took his part of the money, and now he had nothing. He was ruined. I told them it was none of their business and that I wouldn't discuss my issues with them. Lucia was still bothering me, asking why I wouldn't tell her since her future was at stake. I said, this concept is beyond your comprehension, so it's better for you to stay away from him. My aunt yelled at me for insulting Lucia and said I should lower my ego when talking to her because she is more successful than me because Ron left me for her. My dad came to my room after hearing my aunt's voice. She melted when she saw him. She said she was casually talking to me about her distress. My dad said he heard everything, and if she dared to raise her voice against me again, he would cut her off from all the financial help he had been giving her. He said he regretted not intervening in my affairs before because it gave my aunt a free pass to humiliate me, but not anymore. My dad told her that if Lucia was so successful, she should help Ron manage the house and save them from being evicted. Apparently, my aunt and Lucia didn't know about Ron's poor financial condition or about the rent being overdue. They were shocked. Lucia started sobbing in front of my dad, saying Ron had ruined her life because he couldn't support her. She was worried about where they would live if the landlord really evicted them. She asked for Ron's share of the trust fund to be released so they could rebuild their lives. My dad said he was proud of me for standing up for myself and laughed at my aunt for going behind my back to seduce Ron for Lucia. She should have thought about the consequences before prostituting her daughter. My aunt started crying, saying she did everything to secure her daughter's future. My aunt changes colors at lightning speed depending on the situation. She said Lucia doesn't have a father to back her up like I do, nor is she educated like I am to earn money for herself, so she has to take care of her. She thought Ron was the one who could take care of my daughter, but look at how that poor bum betrayed her. Lucia broke in and said she could have told me Ron was unemployed, but you let your cousin marry a bum. But I don't blame you for that. You have your reasons for hiding the truth. My dad stood up and told them to leave. The ones who turned their backs on me to seduce my fiancé then came to my house to throw in my face that their daughter was marrying my fiancé. Now that things are crumbling, she's blaming me for hiding the truth about Ron. Good. Before they left, I told her, don't worry about Lucia. There are plenty of sugar daddies waiting to shower their love on girls like Lucia. I'm sure you both can find one. That was very mean of me, but I'm not that good a person, nor do I want to be with them. She was the one who started the humiliation when she came to tell me about her daughter's wedding. I don't know what happened after that. I wish I had recorded her when she called Ron a bum. He deserved to know what his mother-in-law and wife think of him. However, if she could call him that in front of us, she could do it to his face too. Update 3. Ron emailed me admitting how he had ruined things. He borrowed money from a friend to pay the overdue rent, but fell behind again because his client delayed payment for his writing work. The landlord gave him notice to evict from the house. He asked my aunt to let them live there for a few months, but my grandparents refused. Ron didn't know the truth that the house wasn't my aunt's. They lied, saying it was my aunt's house, and that my grandparents lived there when, in reality, it was the opposite. They're a group of liars. Ron mentioned that Lucia also lied about her education and work, claiming she was a restaurant manager and exaggerating her salary. This led Ron to think they could follow through with our business plan together. It surprises me how he couldn't see Lucia's lack of intelligence in their dates. Did they really talk, or was it just a casual encounter? He mentioned he was quitting his dreams of writing and looking for a job in his previous field. I ignored his first email. A few days later, he sent another one, this time apologizing. He expressed regret for betraying me and acknowledged that his life had fallen apart. He mentioned how my aunt took Lucia away, manipulating me. It seems that beauty has an advantage. Even the brightest minds can fall for it. However, I have no desire to forgive Ron or reconcile with him. Now he's remorseful, but he's a cheater. Once a cheater, always a cheater. His life may be a disaster partly because I liquidated the trust fund, but I don't regret it. I was fair to myself, he made a choice, and now he has to live with it. I replied to his email telling him to never contact me again, and I blocked him. I thought about warning him that my aunt would probably abandon him and Lucia once she found a better paying job. But why should I comfort him? He shattered my soul by cheating on me with my cousin. His misery is just gossip to me now. I discussed everything with my mom, and we laughed a lot. She said she's glad now that karma has caught up with them all. Update 4. Well, life is good. At least much better than when I started writing here. It has been 2 years since everything blew up, and there's a big difference between my life and the rest of the people involved. I don't know where to start because this is a bit long, but I'll try to keep it very brief. I don't want to leave out details along the way. To start, I'll talk about myself, not because I'm self-centered, but to give a little update for those who asked. Then I'll move to the interesting part. I still have my job and everything is going very well. I even met a guy here and we're dating. As for Ron, he has found a job and is reportedly very miserable. He won't stop complaining about losing his dream job and having to work on something he doesn't like, blaming it on a witch, which would be me. I could feel offended, but the truth is, I'm very happy about what's happening to him. Remember, I'm not a good person. Plus, it's not like he can't work for a while, save up, and then try again, or work at night on what he wants to do while maintaining a day job to support himself. But it seems he's not committed enough to his dream job. As for my aunt and cousin, the most wonderful thing happened. My grandparents kicked them out. They got tired of all the drama and having them living with them, so they asked them to leave. Now they are both renting together because they have nothing else to do as they are a bit useless. If I were them, I would quickly start looking for a new boyfriend because Lucia isn't going to get any younger or prettier over time. We also know that in her case, intelligence isn't something that will improve either. Yes, I know I'm very mean, but that's just karma. Well, in the end, this didn't turn out to be as long as I thought it would be, but at least broadly, I think I've covered the most important parts.